Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here today to do a quick video talking about ways that you can help to restore your sense of taste and smell, especially because of this most recent virus. A lot of people have lost their taste and smell for a very, very long time. Even 6 months is the longest I've heard so far. Unlike what's normal is usually when we get some kind of illness, a cold, a flu, whatever, it can cause us to lose our sense of taste and smell for 3 days to a week, usually is the longest. But this has been very extended. And even some people, when they do finally start to get their taste and smell back, it has been all mixed up. It's been all wrong. And what that told me was, just thinking critically on this one, is that there's some kind of disconnect happening or incorrect connections happening between the olfactory glands and our sense of taste. That's where the brain is not perceiving it correctly. And that's something that's important to understand. It's about the actual perception. So we know that there's as far as like aromas go, it's tiny little molecules that are taken in, and then our olfactory glands takes that and then sends the signals to our brain so our brain can perceive. The same happens with taste. So, which would also tell you why some people like certain tastes and certain smells better than other people. And I think it all boils down to how our brain actually perceives those particular tastes and smells. So when you understand that it's about perception, that understanding should help you to be able to do what you need to do to help regain that. So basically what you have to do, especially if this has gone on for longer than a couple of weeks, you basically have to retrain your brain to properly perceive taste and smell. So one of the first things you can start with, and this isn't so much the retraining, but it is also important that you help clear out any blockages and any kind of swelling. So even if you're not stuffed up anymore, because being stuffed up, congested, that alone can prevent, you being able to taste and smell, because the two things are very, very closely related. So if you can't perceive any aroma, you usually can't taste anything either. But once you get past that point, that's then when you have to start doing the retraining. But I do recommend starting at least with doing a homemade saline rinse. You don't have to go down to the store and buy any kind of fancy stuff. In fact, a lot of those have things in it that you really don't need and you're paying extra for, and can even be detrimental. So it's so easy to make your own. Now, some people do recommend boiling the water first and then allowing it to come down to room temperature so that then it is sterile. I personally have never done that and have had no issues, but at any rate, you do want the temperature of the water you're going to use in this to match the temperature of your body. Otherwise, it's going to be too cold and very uncomfortable, and you certainly don't want it to burn the sensitive areas inside your sinus cavities. Then you're going to take a cup of that water and you're going to add a half teaspoon of baking soda and a half teaspoon of salt. It doesn't matter what kind of salt. I usually just use a pink Himalayan salt for that. It's that way I'm not getting any of the grit that's often found in the Redmond real salt, which I also love. It just sometimes is a little bit gritty. And then obviously you want those to dissolve and mix well. Now, sometimes what I have done to help kill off any harmful bacteria is add about a tablespoon of my homemade colloidal silver to that as well. And then I recommend getting yourself a neti pot if you don't have one already. You can get those squeeze bottles that are made specifically for that. But the problem with those, I used to use them, you can easily do a little bit too much. You don't want to squeeze too hard and push too much up in there, because you can get liquid trapped up into your sinuses, and then you're going to have headaches. It's going to be more uncomfortable. So a neti pot is actually a lot more gentle, and you just simply lean over the sink and you stick the nozzle into one nostril and just tilt this way and let the water just go up through your sinus cavities and then drain out this side, and you'll do about half the water that way. The other half cup, you're going to do from the other side. And that's really good at helping to rinse things out. And If you're really stuffed up, if you're really having troubles, you may even want to do that twice a day for a few days and then bring it down to once a day. And if you have problems getting the water to drain from your sinuses, if it gets trapped up in there, what I recommend is bending over as far as you can and lay a towel under you and just wait. And that will allow the water to, you want your head totally down towards the ground. And that will help that liquid to come out and start draining out your nose. So you can get all that out. That is usually what works best for me. A lot of times even just moving around quite a bit, once you start exercising, then that kind of opens things up and it helps it drain out better. So that's the sinus rinse. Now let's get on to talk about ways that you can help retrain your brain to perceive smells properly. So it really boils down to, and this is what I had assumed and then started doing some research into focusing on smells and picking stronger smelling items such as citrus, cinnamon, cloves, mints of various varieties. Lemon balm is another great one. Anything that has a strong smell. Coffee as well, of course. Freshly ground coffee, so it has a nice strong odor to it. A few others would be vanilla, rose, eucalyptus, ginger, really anything that smells good to you that you also know is a very strong smell. Even if you cannot smell it, just do it. So what you're going to do, let's see, I have this jar here of cloves. I'm going to shake it up really well because that's going to help release the oils and everything to get a good aroma. There you go. Hold that under your nose and you're going to take a deep breath and you're going to let it out while you're concentrating on what you know this is supposed to smell like. And just keep doing that for about 20 seconds at a time. And do that several times a day. Instead of mixing up all the smells throughout the whole day, just focus on one smell per day might be the best way to do it, one aroma. And maybe the next day grab some citrus. I just have citrus peels here, but fresh sliced lemon would be a really good one. But I do love the smell of my orange peels here. And just a deep breath. Let it out and then keep doing that for about 20 seconds. And then the next day, maybe pick something else like fresh ground coffee and just keep doing that. Now, the same is going to apply to your sense of taste. And I believe that once you're able to start restoring one, the other one's going to quickly follow suit. And I think it's important to do both together. I would think, this isn't information I found, but this is what I would think, is that while you're also smelling the aroma of the clove, stick a clove in your mouth, even chew on it a little bit. Again, continuing to focus on the smell as the flavor. Even if you can't taste a single thing, as long as you know what it's supposed to taste like, then that's what you should focus on. Okay, and again, it can be something that's pleasant to you. It doesn't have to be something nasty, just to help retrain the brain and get everything working right the way it's supposed to. And you can use essential oils the same way. I would just open the bottle up and just hold the bottle under your nose. That way you don't even have to actually use any of it. You're just smelling it, and do that same thing. Rosemary, I was going to say, that's another really good one. Pretty much any essential oil, because they all have a strong smell. So then when we start looking at food, the same thing is going to apply. When you're preparing meals or just something just for yourself, maybe consider adding even more of your favorite spices than you normally would, especially if you have no sense of taste at all. Add more of that. Be it garlic. Garlic is a great one. And in fact, I would even recommend like the honey infused garlic and just chewing on that garlic. Just chew on just the garlic by itself. Take a chunk of that honey infused garlic out of there, especially if you do it like I do, where I put in red pepper flakes or some hot peppers from my garden, and then chew on that, thinking about that flavor. Here's another good one I didn't think to write down, but black seed. Black seed has a pretty strong flavor. It might not taste good, but it's really good for you. So taking a little teaspoon of the black seed and then just chewing those up, especially again, if you know what the flavor is supposed to taste like, that's going to be helpful. You need to know what it tastes like, or it might not work as well. Of course, you have things like chili powder, cumin, onions, curry, cayenne. These are some great spices that you can add to your foods or increase the amounts of to help And then again, as you're consuming these foods, focus on that flavor so that your brain can associate that flavor with what it's tasting. And teas are great because drinking hot herbal teas, just the steam from the tea, the warmth of it is going to also help open up the nasal passages. And then of course, choosing teas that have a powerful flavor, such as clove, nutmeg, peppermint, cinnamon, ginger. In fact, ginger I would put at the top of the list, and then peppermint right just under that. Because if you take fresh ginger, not a dried ginger and certainly not a ginger powder, but fresh ginger, slice it up, leave the skin on, throw it in the pot, and just simmer it real good so the flavor is good and spicy and strong. I think that one will be really good. And of course, ginger tea is excellent for your health anyway. And it's, it's detoxifying. Oh, it has so many great benefits. And then maybe the next night, do the same thing with peppermint tea. And I would, in that case, I would focus on not doing like I usually do and mixing a bunch of spices together, but do one spice at a time. Another time, do cinnamon tea. And then the other thing too about things like ginger or turmeric, moringa and more is if you're taking these like maybe in a supplement form or in a tea form, these are going to also help reduce inflammation. So reducing the inflammation up in here is also going to help things start working correctly again. And then one more thing that I came across in a few different sites as I was looking around, and I thought this one was interesting, is if you have castor oil on hand, put 2 drops of castor oil into each nostril at least 2 times a day. So I'd say 2 drops in the morning and then 2 drops again before you go to bed, and see how that works. I thought that was an interesting one. I hadn't heard of it before, but it can be worth a try, especially if this has been going on for you for a long period of time. I would say anything that's going to help get things going again the way it should, I'd say give it a try. So anyway, I hope everyone found this helpful and that it works for you. And please, if you try any of this stuff and you've been battling with the sense of smell and taste, maybe you don't have it, or maybe when it finally came back, everything tasted and smelled terrible, and you tried these methods, please come back and share with us in comments down below if this worked, or if you've already done it anyway. Share with us down below what worked for you to help you regain your senses of taste and smell. All right, well, thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.